or listened. But perhaps a minute later, what he awaited arrived. A hopper, its red-brown fur sleek and gleaming in the sun, its eternal curiosity drawing it, peered cautiously from the bushes. Dalgard made mind touch. The hoppers did not really think, at least not on the levels where communication was possible for the colonists, but sensations of friendship and goodwill could be broadcast, primitive ideas exchanged. The small animal, its human-like front paw hands dangling over its creamy vest, came out fully into the open, black eyes flicking from the motionless Dalgard to the bright beads on the rock. But when one of those paws shot out to snatch the treasure, the traveler's hand was already cupped protectingly over the hoard. Dalgard formed a mental picture and beamed it at the 20-inch creature before him. The hopper's ears twitched nervously, its blunt nose wrinkled, and then it bounded back into the brush, a weaving line of moving grass marking its retreat. Dalgard withdrew his hand from the beads. Through the years, the Astran colonists had come to recognize the virtues of patience. Perhaps the mutation had begun before they left their native world. Or perhaps the change in temperament and nature had occurred in the minds and bodies of that determined handful of refugees as they rested in the frozen cold sleep while their ship bore them through the wide uncharted reaches of deep space for centuries of Terran time. How long that sleep had lasted, the survivors had never known, but those who had awakened on Astra were different. And their sons and daughters, and the sons and daughters of 2 more generations were warmed by a new sun, nourished by food grown in alien soil, taught the mind contact by the amphibian mermen with whom the space voyagers had made an early friendship. Each succeeding child more attuned to the new home, less tied to the far-off world he had never seen or would see. The colonists were not the same breed as their fathers, their grandfathers, or great-grandfathers. So, with other gifts, they had also a vast, time-consuming patience, which could be a weapon or a tool as they pleased, not forgetting the instantaneous call to action which was their older heritage. The hopper returned. On the rock beside the shining things it coveted, it dropped dried and shriveled fruit. Dalgard's fingers separated 2 of the gleaming marbles, rolled them toward the animal, who scooped them up with a chirp of delight. But it did not leave. Instead, it peered intently at the rest of the beads. Hoppers had their own form of intelligence, though it might not compare with that of humans. And this one was enterprising. In the end, it delivered 3 more loads of fruit from its burrow and took away all the beads, both parties well pleased with their bargains. Sssuri splashed out of the sea with as little ado as he had entered. On the end of his spear twisted a fish. His fur, slicked flat to his strongly muscled body, began to dry in the air and fluff out while the sun awoke prismatic lights on the scales which covered his hands and feet. He dispatched the fish and cleaned it neatly, tossing the offal back into the water, where some shadowy things arose to tear at the unusual bounty. "This is not hunting ground." His message formed in Dalgard's mind. That finned one had no fear of me. We were right then in heading north. This is new land. Dalgard got to his feet. On either side, the cliffs, with their alternate bands of red, blue, yellow, and white strata, walled in this pocket. They would make far better time keeping to the sea lanes, where it was not necessary to climb. And it was Dalgard's cherished plan to add more than just an inch or 2 to the explorer's map in the council hall. Each of the colony males was expected to make his man journey of discovery, sometimes between his 18th and 20th year. He went alone, or, if he formed an attachment with one of the mermen near his own age, accompanied only by his knife brother. And from knowledge so gained, the still small group of exiles added to and expanded their information about their new home. Caution was drilled into them, for they were not the first masters of Astra.